I'm joined by raceform analyst Dave Orton and RFA's Nick Watts with a look ahead to this year's Paddy Power Gold Cup, the first big handicap of the jump season. So, Grand Cru's current favourite at 3-1. Is he a worthy favourite, Nick?
Yeah, I'd say that he is. I'm sure not everyone will agree with me on that, but I think he's very, very well handicapped horse. I think he's off 157. Look at the horses around him that he beat last season, like Silviniaco Conti already won the Charlie Hall. He's up to a mark of 168, I think. I think there's no doubt that he can compete effectively off this kind of mark. I'm sure David Pipe and the owners think the same thing. And people may point to the long run analogy of a couple of years ago because Long Run was beaten in this off a similar mark, but the two completely different horses. Long Run's real stayer, didn't jump particularly well. Grand Cru's got a lot of speed and from what we saw of his novice season last season, does jump fantastically well. So I think the two are completely different horses. It's not really a relevant comparison. So yeah, he's a very worthy favourite for me.
And Dave, what do you think? He was disappointing at Cheltenham last season. Do you think he can bounce back?
Well, a different class there in 2 runs leading up to that. Everyone seems to forget the break he had as well going into the festival last year, and there's that terrible stat, isn't there? You've got to have had a run after the turn of the year to win these big championship races. He looked all over like he was going to come and do Bobsworth and First Lieutenant in the RSA and then just stopped. Some people said that was a lack of stamina, but I can't have that as a horse that ran big bucks so close, you know, in a stayer's hurdle. And at Aintree as well. He looks bomb-proof to me, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, 11-2, 6-1, when you look what might fall away, Silvianico, as Nick said. Horses that aren't even going to go like Champion Court. He was a massive price then. He's a very worthy favourite and he's going to take a lot of beating for the team that, as Nick said, love to take this race. Whether I'd be backing him at around about 3-1, 5-2 is another matter, but those sitting on 6-1 must be excited and looking forward to it.
Okay, so you both fancy Grand Cru to win. Anything at a bigger price?
Well, I mean, there's a couple, obviously, in against him. Anyone who read the Racing Post, the front page today, would have seen that Anthony Knott's very, very confident about Huntball, thinks he's going to do a Frankel, walk this race. I'd love to see that. It'd be great. Fantastic scenes in the winner's enclosure if that does happen afterwards. Obviously going to be much, much tougher for Huntball this season, starting off a very low base last year. And let's not get too carried away. Yeah, he did win really well at Cheltenham, but it's probably one of the worst races at the festival. Beat a horse called White Star Line, who's still a maiden over fences, can't win the race in Ireland. So if you give me the two of them off level weights, which they will be racing off, they're off on exactly the same mark, then I'd take Grand Cru every time. So I love Anthony Knott's enthusiasm, but I just can't have Huntball on this occasion.
He is brilliant, Anthony Knott, isn't he? And so is the
brilliant.
horse. £88 we said earlier, didn't we, that improved. It's hard to think of a horse that's actually improved that much in one season. I take a slightly more positive view than that. I think he had a massive weight at Cheltenham, and they wanted to go for another race. And the way he powered up the hill, I think it was the fastest sectional at the hill at the festival. And he showed at Aintree, didn't he? He was probably slightly over the top, and he didn't get the best of rides there. Although Nick Schofields much improved jockey, and I've got a lot of time for him. I think he's got to go well, but as Nick said, it's first time out. We've got to take his fitness on trust. I'm sure they'll have him revved up, but Kieran Burke, his trainer, I've been looking at his form, and he hasn't been firing in the winners. So you've got to take a bit on trust. A heavy heart to pass him over, I think, but 6-1's a bit skinny.
And you fancy Pepite Rose for a bit of value?
I like her, yeah. So, OK, we've got Grand Cru, probably start around about the 5-2 mark, 11-4, let's face it, once the race is framed. She really caught the eye on a reappearance not so long ago at Ascot. That was over an inadequate 2 miles. She was a massive market drifter that day, and this has got a typical look of a Venetia plot over it to me. We said that Huntball was massively improved last year. How much did she improve? She was totally exposed over hurdles, and then she went chasing, and it's hard to think of a better jumper last year for me. Incredibly accurate. So impressive at Newbury when she won that mare's final. Decent ground, up in trip. I can really see her hitting the frame, and around about 6-1, wouldn't put anyone off an each way bet.
And Nick, you fancy no to still at all?
Yeah, David Pipe's second string. So my enthusiasm for him is qualified by the fact that he's also running Grand Cru, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ran a place at all. Really impressive at the start of last season, won easily at Carlisle and Plumpton. Then went over to Ireland and was in graded races, didn't run badly at all behind the likes of Flemenstar, probably on too soft a ground, and was quite well fancied for a festival handicap, but came down early, and that was the end of his season. No problems going fresh. He's always been a good horse. He's second to Sanctuary a few seasons ago over hurdles in the Fred Winter race at the festival. So got a lot of quality, this horse, and if it wasn't for the fact that something of the ability of Grand Cru was going in the race, Notice de la Tour would be quite a strong fancy for me. But bearing in mind they're from the same stable, I can't believe that he's not the number 2, behind Grand Cru. So,
but we already said earlier, didn't we, that they have one with second strings.
They have. Seifel Malta won a few years ago.
Yeah.
But even so, I just struggled. You know, you put the two in the same race, and even though Notice would be getting a lot of weight, I'd still be with a grey horse every time.
I don't like a horse coming off the back of a foal either for winning purposes, but I can see your point from a handicapping reason, yeah.
Right, well, let's have a look at a few others in the race. Let's talk about For Non-Stop, who was so impressive at Aintree in the Old Roan Chase. Do you think he can reverse form with Grand Cru?
If he was coming to this race first time out, I'd quite strongly fancy him. But I've got a feeling with this horse, he's absolutely best, mad fresh, which he proved at Aintree. The race kind of, you can't argue the way he did it fantastically well, but I think they did set off quite hard early on. He was suited by the way the race was run. If I was Nick Williams now, I'd put him away now till the Ryanair. I wouldn't even bother running him because I just think this horse is best after a massive break. And so impressive was he at Aintree that he's probably ruined his chance of winning this by just going up so much in the weights.
He likes Cheltenham, despite the fact he hasn't won there, but he was beaten by Grand Cru in a handicap, similar weight. It was over hurdles at this meeting a couple of years ago. Can't see him beating him.
Okay, a quick word on a couple of the others. Walk On.
No, I can't have him. I know a lot of people do like him, and it's, you know, from a handicapping perspective, he's not badly weighted. But Alan King doesn't seem to know his best trip. I mean, he was last seen running in the Scottish National over 4 miles, and now he's come back to 2.5. I'm just not sure this is the horse of old.
I think he's become a bit soft as well. I'm happy to take him on. He's far too short for me.
So Grand Cru to win.
Grand Cru all the way.
Yeah, it's all about Grand Cru for me. I think this race is absolutely perfect for him. 2.5 miles, be a fast pace. He can use his good jumping. He'll come there on the bridle, and you know, it's within his stamina range, so absolutely no problems at all. Grand Cru.
I can see him taking this before going on for the Hennessy Double actually, and then maybe the King George. Worth mentioning as well that he's never won past January, I think, in a season. So get him fresh, and this looks like a proper job.
All right, thank you.